So much to talk about, so many things that have happened. Pretty exciting weekend of wrestling.
Well, this is the mecca of wrestling for this year, really. Every year, this time around WrestleMania time, it's WrestleMania Christmas, really, for all us wrestling fans.
There you go. Yes, Christmas in April.
That's right.
But yeah, held at the AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas, and I think one of the biggest things right off the bat was just the huge numbers. Their Peacock pay-per-views were up over 33%, the highest grossing gate ever for WWE, and that's probably saying something. And a combined total of over 156,300 for the two nights. So if you're a promoter, you'd be stoked with those numbers.
Oh, definitely. It's probably one of the best nights they've had in about 4 or 5 years, probably, with COVID and recessions and et cetera and et cetera.
Yeah, been a lot going on over there.
The Trump administration and the rest of it. So it's probably been a bonanza weekend for them in general. And the show, well, we'll talk about the show as we get into it. But I'll be honest with you, starting off looking at the original cards before the weekend started, I was a little bit doubtful on how good the show would be. What about you, Pete? What do you reckon?
Yeah, look, it's probably fair to say, and again, there were factors contributing. I mean, they did have crowds last year, and then the year before there was no crowds, and a WrestleMania without crowds is not probably a WrestleMania, but they haven't been brilliant for the last few years overall, as the product overall has been a bit down, but I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was pretty good overall. As we were talking a wee bit earlier, overall, apart from a couple of things on night 2, I thought night 1 was better than night 2.
Agree.
Go through that. But look, overall, when you got 156,500 people at your show, biggest money spinner you've ever had, and pay-per-view numbers up, and the whole thing. I mean, overall to them, it was obviously very successful.
Well, let me ask you something right now, Pete, because you are one of the smartest men in wrestling that I know. This is the truth.
Yeah, okay.
If you were Vince McMahon after this weekend's pay-per-view, would you put the company up for sale? It'd have to look damn good right now. You'd be saying to, old Mickey Mouse, hey, man, put your money up front, buy me out.
If it was me personally, no, because when it's taken so long to build a company to the degree that they are, and you've had multi-millionaires come in, and Ted Turner and now this Tony Khan, with more money to throw at it than anything, and they still can't get to the level of the show and the atmosphere and the pyros and the sets and the whatever. I mean, you're at the top of your game. I mean, if you've still got a passion to promote, I personally wouldn't. But, I'm not a 78-year-old billionaire who's...
with no real apparent heir.
Well, I find... I know we're going to get off the subject here like we always do, but I find that incredibly difficult when you got Shane and Stephanie as direct kids, and Triple H, the son-in-law, which is, and given his condition and his retirement now and all the rest of it, I mean, you still got 3 very, very good people, even though not Tony Khan. What's the other Khan?
Oh, I can't. What's the other Khan, Anthony?
Nick
Khan,
yeah.
That's the man, friend of The Rock. Well, maybe The Rock will buy it out. He's got enough money. He's got more money than God.
Well, you know what? If you've been watching the Young Rock program and about the whole thing with his grandmother and the promoting and how close they were, that would not surprise me.
I think if you've got wrestling in your blood, as you get older, obviously, like myself, your in-ring time is limited.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have what it takes. So now promoting becomes something where you're still staying close to the business. Maybe you're not in the ring, but you're around the business. And I think if you've got wrestling in your blood, being around the business, like Vince, being around the business, is as long as you're around it,
Yeah.
So it's not surprising, but I just was, when you were saying about 156,000 people, probably the biggest night they've had ever, that kind of thing, with all the rumors last year of sale, if you're going to market this thing, being as you're from from a sales background, this is time to sell. This is the time to put it up for sale. Well, it's never going to look any better than this.
No, if you're ever going to sell, it'll be now.
Yeah.
But I can't see him ever selling. I think he'll die at an event.
Yeah, unfortunately, he looked like this weekend he possibly could have. But we'll get into that later on. Mr. Anthony, what was your thoughts about the whole thing, buddy?
All right. So night one was, now that I've had a couple of days to digest it, was probably a lot better. Night two could have been a lot better.
Well, yeah, I agree. I agree. What about you, Pete? You obviously.
Well, as I said, I thought night one was better overall. We'll talk about night two there, but apparently a couple of there was a match dropped from night one, but ended up going into night two. The Sheamus match that was supposed to be on night one, but they ran out of time and put it on. But it was a very short, sharp, nothing match. I mean, they were. And we'll talk about that when we get to it. But it was a very short, sharp, nothing match. They had to just squeeze it in as a quick bout.
That was Sheamus, Holland, and Butch.
Well, right? Butch was on the outside.
Yeah, Butch was like the little bull terrier that they've got there. They wanted to attack everyone.
Yeah, which I've got a bit to say about that too, because I mean he's a WWE star. He's been on NXT extensively, and
was he Pete Dunne on WWE?
Yeah. So why bring him in under a whole different name like he's just a brand new He's not brand new to. If he'd come from AEW or ROH or something, yeah, fair enough. But I just think it's a bit silly. And even that thing they did on, I know this is again an extension, but that thing they did on Raw last night with Elias.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen it. I've only
he's come out now, and he looks a bit more buffed, but he's just got a normal hairdo. No beard, nothing, and they're trying to pass him off as Ezekiel, Elias's younger brother.
You had a guy that looked like Randy Savage. Why would you not book this guy that looked like Randy Savage? But it all comes down to Vince and I guess Tom Pritchard, which must be in there as well, and John Laurinaitis and whatever gaggle of writers they've got in the background there,
Yeah.
So, it is ridiculous.